Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. Today's tutorial is short, sweet, and perfect for summer. We're making a simple yet stunning bralette featuring the beautiful star stitch and a comfy ribbed band. It's quick to make, easy to style, and a great addition to any handmade wardrobe. If you're new here, welcome. I share modern crochet patterns and tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday, so tell a friend, tap the bell, and subscribe so you'll never miss an upload. And if you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to support the channel and help keep these tutorials free. So without further ado, here's how to make your star stitch bralette. For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 85 grams of yarn. That's 155 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 5mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order, and enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us what local critters you spot most by your house. Mainly stray cats for me. Details for the giveaway down below. We're using 4 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and star stitch. This tutorial is made for a size small. You can adjust it for your size, and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this top started, we're all going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Then we're all going to grab our 5mm hook and start off by making a chain the height that we'd like for the bottom band to be. I'd like for mine to be just about 2 inches or 5 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain 10. Now that we have our chain, we're all going to get started on our first row. So start by blocking off that last chain and do a chain 3. That chain 3 does not count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Then we're going to do a double crochet. So starting with a yarn over, we're going to insert our hook into that chain that we blocked off with a 4th chain from our hook with 1 double crochet. So insert, yarn over, pull through to get 3 loops on our hook, then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Let's do one more. Yarn over, into that following chain, insert, yarn over, pull through. When we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and continue with 1 double crochet into every chain. Now that row 1 is completed, we're going to get started on our row 2. So start by doing a chain 3. That chain 3 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Then preparing for a back loop double crochet, so yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Once more, yarn over, following stitches back loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, and continue until you reach the end of the row. Our first 2 rows are completed. We didn't do any increases or decreases, so we should have the same amount of stitches as our previous row and chains that we made. For the rest of the bottom band, we're going to continue to repeat our back loop double crochet row with no increases, no decreases, until we have a portion that can wrap around the widest part of our bust. Once we have that completed, I'll meet everyone back so we can seam it all together. I've just completed my bottom band. I have a total of 49 rows. This length is just about 23.5 inches or 60 centimeters. Now from here, we're going to seam it together. So we're going to start by folding it in half, then we're going to insert our hook into the corner stitches of both the front and the back panel. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through everything. Then we're just going to single crochet in through both of our panels at the same time. So start with a chain 1 just to secure. Then we're going to find that first stitch into the front panel, insert, first stitch into the back panel, insert, and we're going to single crochet. Again, next stitch into the front panel, insert, next stitch into the back panel, insert, single crochet, and continue on with this, making our way all the way down. We have just completed seaming up the bottom band. Now from here, we're going to single crochet along the top. So from where we're at, we're all going to chain 1. And we're all going to start by putting 2 single crochets into every side row, but into the first one, we're actually going to be inserting with 3 because we need to make sure that the total amount of single crochets that we're about to do ends on an odd number. So into this first side row, this is mine right here, we're going to find that top loop and insert with 1 single crochet, same top loop with a second, and same top loop with a third single crochet. Then from here, 2 singles into every top loop. So finding our following side row, I'm going to find that top loop and insert with 2 single crochets. Once more, this is my following side row, insert with 1 and then with a second single crochet. Continue with 2 single crochets into every side row, making our way all the way around. Once we have made our way all the way around, slip stitch into that chain space. Now, just as a really quick tip, this single crochet row is going to be as wide as this portion can stretch. So once when it's completed, try our piece on. If it's a little too tight, we do some stitches with a looser grip, or if it's too loose, we do some stitches with a tighter grip. So we have just completed our single crochet row. Everything is fitting nicely, and just to double check, we all should have ended right after an odd number of stitches after the single crochet row. Now from here, we're going to get started on our star stitch row. So right after we slip stitched into that chain space, we're all going to chain 2. That chain 2 is not going to count as a stitch. That's just going to be our turning chain. So after that chain 2, what we're going to do is we're first going to make sure that we're working in the same direction as our previous row, because we want to make sure that we show the front of the single crochet row for this first row and the front of our star stitch row. We're going to take a look at that second chain from our hook. Then we're going to need to pull up some loops. So we're going to start by finding that second chain from our hook's back loop. This is my first one. We're going to insert, yarn over, and pull through for 2 loops on our hook. Then into that same chain, we're going to find that front loop. We're going to insert our hook in through there. If you need to separate your loops a little bit, go ahead and do that. Yarn over and pull through to get 3 loops on our hook. Then we do need to pull up a total of 6. So into that following stitch, we're going to insert, pull up a loop, following stitch, pull up a loop, then following stitch, pull up a loop for a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops on our hook. Then from here, yarn over, pull through all 6 of those loops to get 1 loop on our hook. Then to complete our star stitch, we're going to chain 1, and that chain 1 forms the eye of our star stitch. Now, let's do that again. Now that first star stitch is going to be done a little bit differently than the rest of our star stitches. So let's do the rest together. Now we are going to need to pull up a total of 6 loops again. So start by inserting your hook into the eye of our previous star stitch. So we're going to insert, pull up a loop for 2 loops on our hook. Then into the last post from our previous star stitch. This is my last post right here. If you separate it, it will be that post that's worked into that last stitch that our previous star stitch is worked into. So go ahead and insert your hook in between that, pull up a loop for 3, then insert your hook into the last stitch that our previous star stitch was worked into, insert, pull through to get 4 loops on our hook, and we need 6 loops again. So into that next, pull through, next, pull through for a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops on our hook. Then yarn over, pull through all 6, and complete this star stitch with a chain 1 to form the eye again. It's just going to be this star stitch all the way around. So let's do this one together again. Again, we're going to insert our hook into the eye of our previous star stitch. So insert, pull through. Underneath that last post from our previous star stitch, we're going to insert, pull through to get 3 loops on our hook. Then into that last stitch that our previous star stitch was worked into, insert, pull through, then into that next, pull through, next, pull through to get a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops on our hook. Then yarn over, pull through all 6, chain 1 to complete this star stitch and to form the eye. Continue on with this star stitch, making our way all the way around. Then I'll meet you back to complete the last star stitch together. Our first star stitch row for the bust height portion is completed, technically our second row. Now what we're going to do from here is close off our star stitches with just 1 half double crochet. And that's to ensure that we close off the row with the same odd number of stitches that we did for our previous single crochet row. So that last star stitch is completed. We did chain 1 to form the eye. Then we're going to yarn over. Into that same last stitch, we're going to insert just with 1 half double crochet to complete the row. Now from here, we're going to connect it into the chain 2 that we made when we started off this row. Here's my first chain, here's my second. Into that second chain, we're going to insert with 1 slip stitch. Now that slip stitch may form a stitch, but it doesn't actually count as a stitch. That's just to connect. Then we're going to get started on our row 3, which is another single crochet row. Now from here, we're going to chain 1 and flip. Now when it comes to single crocheting into the top of our star stitch rows, what we're going to do is start with 1 single crochet into the first stitch, which is the half double crochet from our previous star stitch row. So this is the top of my half double crochet. I'm going to insert into there with just 1 single crochet. Then into the eye of our first star stitch, you guys can tell that that little circle is our first eye. We're going to insert with just 1 single crochet. Then into the rest of the eyes, we're going to insert with 2 single crochet. So we are going to skip over that following stitch that we have. Then that next stitch should be the eye. We're going to insert with 2 singles. So there is 1. Into that same eye with a second single crochet. Let's do that again. Into the next eye, which is this stitch for me. I'm going to find that stitch and insert with 1. Same stitch with a second. From here, continue with 2 single crochets into every eye until we're worked into the last eye of the row. Then I'll meet you back. So we have just made our way all the way around with our single crochet. We have just worked into our last eye, inserting 2 single crochets into there. Now from here, to make sure that we end with the same amount of stitches as our 2 previous rows, since we aren't doing any increases yet, we do want to make sure that into the last stitch, we're inserting 1 single crochet. So this is my last eye, and this is my last stitch of the row because this is the chain 1 that we made to get started on our single crochet row. So what I'm going to do is find that last stitch, insert with 1 single crochet, then I'm going to complete the row by slip stitching into that chain 1 space that we made when we got started on the row. So this is my chain 1 space. I'm going to insert with a slip stitch just to connect. And now our row 3 is complete. Now it's going to be a repeat of our 2 previous rows, so let's just get started on our following star stitch row together. We're always going to start our star stitch row off with a chain 2 and flip. Now getting started on our star stitch, we always want to make sure that we are working our star stitch right side out. And into that second chain from our hook, we're going to start by pulling up 2 loops. So this is the second chain from my hook. I'm going to find my back loop into the star stitch, insert, and pull through to get 2 loops on our hook. Then into that same chain's front loop, I'm going to insert and pull through to get a 3rd loop. And this front loop may be a little bit difficult to work into, so go ahead and separate your loops if you need to. And once when our hook is in through that front loop, we're going to yarn over and pull through to get a total of 3 loops on our hook. Then into that first stitch from our previous row, we're going to insert, pull through for 4 loops. Next stitch, pull through for 5 loops. Next stitch, pull through for 6 loops. Then yarn over, pull through all 6 loops. Then to form the eye of our star stitch, simply chain 1. Now that is the first star stitch. Remember, the second and the rest of our star stitches are done just a little bit differently. So just to do that one together, inserting our hook into the eye of our previous star stitch, we're going to insert, pull through. In through the last post from our previous star stitch, pull through, into the last stitch that our previous star stitch was worked into, pull through, into that following stitch, pull through, following stitch, pull through for a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through all 6, then start with a chain 1, and so far we should all have 2 star stitches. Continue on with this star stitch until we don't have any more stitches left to work into, then I'll meet you back. We've made our way around with our star stitches, remembering that that last star stitch is closed off with just 1 half double crochet to make sure that we have the same amount of stitches as our previous row. Now we're going to slip stitch it into that second chain that we made when we got started on this row. Then just to get started on our single crochet row together, we're going to chain 1 and flip our work. Then to get started on our single crochet row, we're all going to put 1 single crochet into the top of that half double crochet from our previous row, into the eye of our first star stitch, insert with just 1. Then into all the rest of the eyes in the row, we're going to insert with 2 single crochets until we reach our last eye. Now we've made our way all the way around with our single crochet row again. Just to complete this together, into the top of that last available stitch, insert with a single, just to make sure that we close off the row with the same amount of stitches as our previous row. Then slip stitch into that chain space. Now from here, all we're going to do is continue to repeat our 2 previous rows until we have the star stitch height that we would like. Now this detail is strictly up to you and how much of this texture you want. We are going to add a few single crochet rows after this to get the depth of the neckline that we want. So go ahead and get this portion complete. Then I'll meet you back right after a single crochet row. Then we can add just a smidge bit more height to this. We have just completed the star stitch detail of our cup. I have a total of 9 rows. This height is just about 2.5 inches or 6 centimeters. So right after we've slip stitched into that chain space, we're going to chain 1, flip our work, 1 single crochet into every stitch, then repeat that single crochet row with no increases, no decreases, until this portion reaches the depth of the neckline that you'd like. So if you would like to show a little bit more, do fewer rows, or if you would like to cover a little bit more, do more rows. I have just completed my few single crochet rows. I now have a total, that's counting from my first single crochet row, I now have a total of 11 rows. Now this height is just about 3 inches or 8 centimeters, or my total height that I have is 5 inches or 13 centimeters. Now we're going to get started on our cups. So right after that last row, make sure that we do a chain up of 1 and cut. Then what we're going to do from there is find our 1 middle stitch. We all should have 1 middle stitch since we didn't do any increases or decreases. We should all have an odd number of stitches. Then from there, we're going to try our piece on, making sure that the middle stitch marker is at mid-chest. Then we're going to insert our following stitch marker into the stitch that's at mid-underarm. Now I've inserted my stitch marker into the 27th stitch from the tail end on both sides. We do need to make sure that the amount of stitches from our middle stitch marker over to our side stitch marker, making sure we are including those stitch markers, needs to end in an even number. Now I have a total of 24 stitches from stitch marker to stitch marker, so I'm doing pretty good. Now we can get started on the cups. Now as y'all can see, I've already got one of my cups just completed. Now we're going to do the other one together because they're actually going to be done pretty much the same way. So we're going to start by inserting our hook into our outside stitch marker. Then I'm going to insert my yarn onto my hook, pull through and start with a chain 1. That chain 1 is just to secure. Then working towards our middle stitch marker stitch, we're going to start and end this row with a decrease of 2 single crochets. So into that same stitch that our chain 1 is in, or the same stitch that our stitch marker is in, we're going to insert, pull through into that next stitch, pull through to get 3 loops on our hook, then yarn over, pull through all 3. Then from here, we're going to continue with 1 single crochet into every stitch, leaving 1 stitch right before our middle stitch marker stitch. We've made our way down with our single crochet row. We have left 1 stitch right before our middle stitch marker stitch. Now we're all going to do a decrease. So into that second to last stitch, insert, pull through, then into that middle stitch marker stitch, pull through for a total of 3 loops on our hook, then yarn over and pull through all 3. Now, whenever we're working in towards the middle stitch, we are going to start and end the row off with a decrease. But whenever we're working our way out towards the outer edge, we're going to only decrease into the edge of the row. So to get started on our second cup row, we're going to chain 1, flip our work, then just put 1 single crochet into every stitch that we have, leaving the last 2. So we are nearly complete with our second cup row. We should all have 2 stitches left and we should be along the outer edge. What we're going to do from here is a decrease of 2 single crochets. Now from here, all we're going to do is continue to repeat these 2 previous rows until our cup comes all the way down to a point. And we just have 1 stitch left. Then I'll meet everyone back so we can work straight into the strap together from there. So we are back. We have just made our way all the way up with our cups. Now from here, before we go ahead and make the chain for the strap, we're going to insert our stitch marker into the back where we like for the back strap to connect. Now just taking a look at the back, I've inserted my stitch marker into the 6th stitch away from my tail end on both sides. I just wanted my straps to be up and over straps, but if you would like for yours to be crisscross back, fur to the outside, that's completely up to you. But once when I have my stitch marker into place, I can then go ahead and make my chain that reaches my stitch marker. I went ahead and already made my chain. I needed roughly 12 inches or 30 centimeters, so I made a chain 55, and now we're going to slip stitch it into the stitch marker stitch. So the easiest way to connect our chain to our stitch marker is actually to pull a little bit of slack out of the chain. We're then going to insert our hook into our stitch marker stitch, then making sure that the chain isn't twisted, we're going to reinsert that slack loop onto our hook, then pull through. So once my chain is back on my hook, I am going to pull through, yarn over, and pull through everything. And that's to secure. Then just to sturdy up our chain, we're going to continue with 1 single crochet into every chain, and then I'll meet you back so we can connect it. So now that we have just single crocheted all the way back down our chain, we're just going to connect it into the top of our cup. So just making sure that the single crochet row now isn't twisted, we're going to slip stitch it into that top available stitch into the cup. So how we're going to do that is I'm going to actually pull out a slack loop again, kind of like how we did when we connected the chain into the back. I'm going to insert my hook into that available stitch that we have on top of the cup, then insert our slack loop on top of our hook, making sure that the single crochet row still isn't twisted. We're then going to pull through and do a chain up of 1 to secure and cut. And now that we have connected one of our straps, we are all done. Now from here, we're just going to repeat everything we did here on the other side. Then once we have both of these completed, then we're all done. Then the last thing we have to do is simply weave in all of our ends. And there you have it, y'all. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch you on the next one. Bye.